Personnel Veterans and Human Services Committee at 6:45. Council's President, Council Tavares, and Council Waterman. Council Tavares is on Zoom. I have one guest, Brian Amaral for Traffic Study Commission. Come to the podium, sir. Brian's got his helper with him.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Amaral, going for the Traffic Study Commission. I live on 5 Lindsay Farm Lane. I guess I figured instead of complaining all the time on Facebook, I could get more involved in the community. And since opening the business downtown, I've noticed a lot of crazy stuff with the driving and everything else. So I figured the best way to get involved. I know I've talked with Todd before about getting involved. So, and yeah, that would be it for now.
Yeah. Well, I've known Brian for a long time, and he's been a great guy for many years, and I think he's definitely going to be a good addition to it. Any questions, comments, concerns? Council Waterman?
Well, I'm so glad you came and that you're interested. You've already started to have your baptism, right?
Yeah.
Because Brian came to our traffic and transportation last Thursday, and we have some burning issues we need to think about.
Yes, correct.
So thank you so much. And you've got
You say hi?
you got a fellow back here.
Say hi?
Yeah, he's preoccupied.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Councilor Kobus?
I'd just like to say thank you for stepping up. We've known each other, went to high school together, and Brian's a great guy, and I think he'll do really well on this. And
I don't know if that's going to hurt you or not.
that's fair.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No, seeing none. I see Council Tavares is up there, but I can't make it out. But I'm guessing we would hear it if he did. So,
No questions.
all right, here we are. All right, great, thanks. All right, thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. And we talked before. You'll get, we got one more week. You get through council, and then you'll get a letter and probably an email in the mail, and then come on down. And I would ahead of time just make sure that Kate Jackson will be here in the clerk's department, and then just come on down and get sworn in.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. For the docket of May 6, 2025, entertain a motion to approve the revised intermunicipal agreement to formally join the Northern Bristol County Public Health Alliance. Council approved original agreement on November 19, 2024, vote number 13.
Second.
Thank you, Council Tavares. So basically, this was approved, as it says, on November 19, 2024. And it was just basically some wording, didn't really change anything. It was just some better suited wording. And I talked to Dan in the public, in the health department, and he basically said this is going to benefit the department and everybody, because it's just going to give them more resources to help everybody out and help with the health department too as well. So, and it's not costing the city any money, and it's going to be some outside resources that will help them out. Any questions, comment? Councilor Dolan?
I just want to make a comment. So since your members were on Zoom, can you do a roll call vote?
We don't have to.
Virginia reminded me to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she said we didn't need to do a roll call vote.
When they're on Zoom.
I've never done it on a Zoom meeting as a committee, but I thought that was just on council meeting.
Corrected.
Huh?
You have to do it with people that are involved.
Okay.
Other committees don't have to do it, but when any of these two are involved in a vote, it needs to be roll call.
Okay, all right. All right, Councilor Tavares, present? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Waterman, present?
Yes.
Yes, I'm present. All right. There's our roll call vote. All right, so any questions, comments, concerns on May 6th, 2025 with the intermunicipal agreement? All right, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. For the docket of April 15, 2025, entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Brian Amaral to fill an unexpired term on the Traffic Study Commission, term to expire February 2026.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Council Tavares, Council Waterman. Yeah, basically, we just heard from Brian. Like I said, Council Cobus has known him for a long time, even longer than I have. I've known Brian for a long time, and he's always been an upstanding guy, and he's already attended the meetings, and I'm excited to have Brian part of the Traffic Study Commission. I think we really need it.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0.
Aye.
Mike, do you want to do a roll call vote?
Would you, for each one, we have to?
Yeah, for each vote?
Oh, all right. I thought it was just once, so all right, my apologies. All right. So for those who are present, Council Tavares,
Yes.
Council Waterman.
Yes.
All right. I'm here, also present. All right. So all those in favor for Brian Amaral?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. That's, motion passes 3-0. That's all for Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee. I call for an adjournment at 6:50.
Second.
Thank you, Council Tavares. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion
Aye.
passes 3-0.
I call to order a zoning, land use, and sustainability committee at 6:50. And I have Councilor Dolan and Councilor LaVoy also on the council here tonight. I wanted to bring out that, first of all, I'm going to announce that today, April 22nd, is Earth Day. And actually, it's an appropriate announcement for today's topic. And it's about Tree City USA designation. And back at the end of March, actually, the mayor and superintendent of Parks and Forestry announced the Arbor Day Foundation recognized us, Attleboro, as an official Tree City USA. And I'd like to invite Mike Davis to come up and talk to us a little bit about Tree City USA, what it means for our city, and how we got here.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here. Welcome to this. I thought it was rather fitting. I didn't even realize it until today that today is Earth Day, and so I figured this is kind of appropriate, right? My name is Mike Davis. I live at 99 Thayer Farm Road in Attleboro, and I currently chair the Sustainability Commission here in Attleboro that was recently put together about a year ago. So if you recall, last year here, you guys voted unanimously for a public ordinance, a public tree ordinance to protect public trees. If you recall, when you did that, Derek stood here and explained one of the reasons why we're doing it is that is one of the criteria for becoming a Tree City USA community. So I just want to point out there are only 3,600 communities in the entire United States that are Tree City designated, and there's only 108 that are in Massachusetts. So we're rising in our sustainability and environmental awareness across the globe. And at the end of March, as Councilor Sawyer said, we did receive word that the effort paid off, and we were designated by which it's actually a two-part process. The Massachusetts DEP has to approve Attleboro through various criteria, and then they pass it over to a foundation called the Arbor Day Foundation. And then that's out in Seattle, and I think it's Seattle, and they then vote on whether or not, who are going to be the new inductees. You have to do it every single year. So now that we have the ordinance and things like that, there's nothing else to do for the next year other than become part of, you have to do an Arbor Day celebration of some sort. And we've been doing that for several years. The Parks Department has been doing that. So what with that, you just understand that we now qualify for grants that we didn't qualify, earlier in March. And we also are going to be, from the State Department, the DEP group, we're going to be getting signage that's going to allow us to be able to be identified as a Tree City USA. And there's not many of them, so it'll be a unique sign for us. Now, while the grants and the signage is great, that doesn't compare to the reward that we get by protecting and growing more trees. So we look at trees and we say, yep, they're all around us, and we are a pretty green community. We've got lots of forests around here, and we protect them. But what I wanted to do is I thought it might be useful to explain why these trees are important to us. understand that trees are our second largest carbon capture system on Earth. They capture more than 15 billion tons of carbon per year that we emit. That's a lot of carbon it's all held in the tree trunk, it's held in the bark, it's held in the leaves, it's held in the roots, it's held in, 15 billion tons of it. Trees also assist in stormwater, flood, and drought mitigation. So trees have, we're actually working on a couple of projects right now that to increase the amount of trees and the density of trees to even further mitigate drought and flood and stormwater damage. So there's a number of things that are going on in that regard. But think about the fact that if the tree is doing it, we don't have to spend the money to do it. So this is it's an economical return on investment. Trees are phenomenal filters of not just air pollution, but of also water pollution. So I will point out that you folks have just recently passed a fairly significant bond for PFAS. Trees are phenomenal PFAS reorganizers of that molecule. They, along with bacteria, they release enzymes that can actually modify and lessen the damage of PFAS. So they are doing some of that work, and it's for nothing, as opposed to the bond. We don't have to buy, these are rather than mechanical systems, they're biological systems. Trees also reduce costs for all of our residents by way of if a lot has got trees, it protects the house with the leaves, it protects it in the winter, during the summer, and allows it to use less cooling capacity. And of course, during the winter, they very kindly drop all of their leaves and allow passive solar to come in and heat up the house through the windows. So again, it's an economic return for this. And I will point out that, interestingly, a treed lot, house lot, is actually valued at approximately 15% more than an untreed lot. So there's a return on the investment for this vegetation. And yeah, we might as well mention the last thing, and that is that trees, as you well know, they absorb carbon dioxide. So there's where that's how it respires. It takes in the carbon dioxide, converts it to sugars and things like that. And what it expires is 29% of all of your oxygen. So trees are kind of important. So they have an economic and an environmental return on investment, and they are absolutely a sustainability champion for us. I will point out a downside of what the trees story, and that is that since the start of the Industrial Revolution, we've lost half of our forest on the globe. Half of it. That represents 2.7 billion acres of forests are not here that were here 150, 175 years ago. So that's a lot of forests. Globally, there's been a net loss of 440 million acres of forest loss since 1990, 30 years ago. That's the size of Alaska. That's what we've lost. We are still running in a deficit. So every year we're losing more and more forests. And from a net point of view, some forests grow and some plants are planted, but in terms of loss, the loss is much higher than the gain. So that means that your carbon capture is going down. That means I named all what the benefits were. So you can do the math there. I will point out that the Sustainability Commission, your Sustainability Commission, has been involved with this project since the beginning. When we initially made the recommendation that went through the council. And but I will say that the heavy lifting has really been done by the Parks Department, Derek Corsi. He's the one who gathered all the information, got all the check marks, and also by the mayor's office. So Mayor DeSimone has also been a critical factor in this. We played a role in it, and what we hope to do is continue to play a role in moving ideas and recommendations back to the council. And the last thing I'll mention is that one of our criteria, of course, is you have to have an Arbor Day foundation, an Arbor Day celebration, and we will be doing that. It was actually designed for next Saturday out at Highland. You're probably aware of that. The weather's not looking too good, great for trees, lousy for humans. So we'll keep an eye on what the date might be. Derek and I are chatting about how that's going to happen, but we'll be partnering with the Parks Department along with several businesses that are in the area. So that's probably way more than you wanted to know about trees, right? Any questions?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for coming down, Mike. Appreciate all the hard work you've been doing right from the beginning and taking care of all this. I got two questions. One is, and it's right near where we live. What does a tree ordinance help out with? I drive down Pike Ave, and you see all these developments come up, and I'm driving down there today, and I wish I could have had my truck with me because I had my car and I couldn't get down there. But it's like they just blew out a bunch, and I don't see anything left for trees. Mm-hmm. So where would that?
So watch me do this.
Yeah.
So interestingly, and Gary's the expert. He's the specialist and he's the expert at this stuff in terms of like what's going on. Let me give you my take on it, and if it's different than what Gary believes, then Gary can actually speak to it for sure. First of all, that property you're talking about, we're just about neighbors. We live very close to one another. So referring to a project that's on Pike Ave, and I happened to drive down Pike Ave at the moment that they were pulling out of there with a semi with two racks of what were completely full, probably 20 feet high, with all the timber that they removed from it. And it's cleared. It's just clear cut. So the ordinance that we were talking about, to your question, that is a public tree ordinance.
Public, so that's not going to pertain.
That doesn't pertain to the private tree ordinance. Yeah. But again, I deferred to Gary, and I'm just going to say quickly that he and I have had dozens of conversations about that. So, and they're working on the planning department is working on that now.
Right. All right, thanks. And
I did not plant that question. I just want.
And my second question is going to be for Gary at some point, but I want to get your opinion on with the Sustainability Commission and how you feel. And I'm not going to bother you with this tonight, Gary, unless you want to chime in. But it obviously drives me crazy when I go down Pike Ave and I'm seeing these developments and everything going on and stuff. If I had my way, I would stop building for a period of time, and I know that's unconstitutional and it's impossible. But how do you feel with all your knowledge on sustainability that you've done and everything, and like the city going towards like larger lot size, like 25,000 square feet? Like our area is a lot more close to 25,000 square feet, but others are, I see 10, 15, and I just don't think that's big enough. But I don't know. What is your opinion on that, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, there's two different opinions. I happen to have a fairly large lot. And it's filled with trees. It's filled with taking in stormwater from our entire street. We have 2 city culverts going into our property. We have wetlands around us. We're not next to the wetlands, but we've got wetlands around us. So I happen to like large properties. There is a strong opinion that higher density is more sustainable, and there's an argument to that. So, for example, if you look over in Norton Red Mill, that kind of, and we have a brand new zoning ordinance that allows you to be able to put a lot of higher density of homes as long as you protect some of the land around it. So there's a good argument for that. But I'll tell you what we've been talking about on the Sustainability Commission, and that is whether it's a tiny lot or it's a larger lot, the building and the property should be sustainably built. So it should be environmentally sustainably built and economically sustainably built. So there's an ROI that's usually done on every particular project, and I've been doing this that's what I did from a business perspective. The ROI would basically look at, this house is going to be around for 100 years, can it economically sustain itself? In terms of pavement on roads, the piping underneath it for water and sewerage. And then the second tab would be for CO2. What is the footprint of that house from when it's being built to when they first walk onto the property, get onto the property, until they leave until that house is no longer there? What is the CO2 footprint? None of our houses, big or small properties, are zero carbon based. None of them.
specific kinds of trees. I just read an article about how we are losing our oak trees because too many shade trees are invading the sun space that we need. Are we taking any care about what kinds of trees we are going to be planting on our public lands?
I would defer to Derek, who's an arborist. He's a certified arborist, to address that question. Generally speaking, from a sustainability point of view, the commission, we've talked about it as being that there are invasive species and then there are native species. We would fall into the category of working with native species. We happen to be working on I don't remember, Councilor Sawyer, if we did we do the Miyawaki Forest? Did we give you that recommendation yet?
Gave it to me, but we haven't talked about it.
We haven't talked about it. So there's a project that we've been working on called the Miyawaki Forest. It's a high-density forest. Sometimes it's called a pocket forest. And again, I look back at the planning board, the planning department director, that his department is working with us on that one as well. And we've made amazing strides. We're hoping to actually put in a Miyawaki forest or a pocket forest, which is a very high density of native trees. So not unnative. So these are, but high density as in you can't even walk through it. That's how dense it is. And it's extremely packed. So you not only can't walk through it, but it sucks up water. So we want to put it in a place where there's a problem. So I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but I would lean towards saying that we should be working, and I agree with the oaks. The oaks took a real hit, like, remember 10 years ago with the gypsy moths? They took a big hit, and so we've lost a lot of oak trees in that area. But the idea would be, the best thing I could say is we'd be focusing in on native trees, but I would defer to the arborist for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you so much, Mike, for coming in.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate you listening.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to invite Gary Arabian to come up next. Before I read out the motion that's coming up next, I wanted to have him come and talk about the motion before we talk about it to vote on it.
Hi, everybody. Gary Arabian, the city's Director of Planning and Development. Thank you for having me tonight. That is such a fun conversation. I wish I could have jumped into that, but I don't want to steal any of Mike's thunder. And at Mike Davis's and at Councilor Angelo, I would love to come to this forum. You're going to have to set up a table because I think I'm going to be talking for about 2 or 3 hours on that topic. It would be a wonderful discussion because we'll get to my memo in a second, but given that we're working on the comprehensive plan, the open space plan, some of the ordinances we're working on, I think it'd be a wonderful occasion that using those as springboards to discuss with the council what is coming down the line that we want to roll out with my department, with the mayor, a lot of new concepts and policies on development, all for the better, all that we could all embrace. At least I'd like to think so. But I would love to have that opportunity at some point to understand where a lot of the genesis of these policies that are going to come from are emanating from a lot of these new documents that we're preparing for the next decade or so. So at some point, let me know and we can formalize maybe an agenda, and I'd love to come down and speak with the council on that. So flip on the other on that same thing, on that same concept. It's kind of fortuitous that you asked me to come down tonight. On the end of what Mr. Davis was talking about is development and the request that I have for the city council for some short money. I call it short money, and just relative scale to other things that come down to the council. I've requested $10,000. And the reason for that is I wrote my backup memorandum that I sent to the mayor as part of my request to give you some flavor about what it is that I'm looking for. But, you know, tonight we were talking about trees, compact development, larger development, implications, flooding, cost, return on investment. I think a lot of what I wanted to do with this $10,000, it's a very small amount that I can squeeze out a lot with the consultant, is something that the council is aware of. I get no discretionary funds. I get zero discretionary funds. And I think a lot of departments get zero discretionary funds. But every so often, I need some help. And in as much as I think we have a really good team in the city with my staff, the planning board, and the city solicitor's office, that we form a nice team that we'll write our own ordinances, zoning ordinances, we'll vet them out. They'll go to ordinance committee meetings with the planning board. We go back to the drawing board sometimes. We run it by the building commissioner, Mr. McDonough. But we usually are able to craft some very, very good zoning ordinances and then ultimately come before the city council and ask to hold a public hearing so you can amend the zoning ordinance and adopt them. Every so often, I need a little help. And in this case, I've asked the mayor, and she agreed, that we're looking at some new design techniques, some new development techniques that I think will be embraced by the city, by the development audience, I think by the residents. But I need some help on some technical aspects of writing some of these ordinances. And for that reason, I asked the city council respectfully if you could appropriate, again, in the grand scheme of things, $10,000, where I could surgically use that for specific aspects of writing an ordinance that ultimately going to come back to the city council for a presentation. And again, this is for housing. We're working on a number of fronts, the new ADU legislation. I know we adopted attached ADUs about a year and a half or so ago. But as you know, the new ADU was adopted, legislation was passed, signed by the governor for detached. So with the planning board, we've been working diligently on that. The mayor's on me all the time. Gary, where is it? It's coming, Mayor, and we're like at the cusp of that. And I'd like to think that at the May 5th planning board meeting, don't hold me to it, but I think at the May 5th planning board meeting, we'll get a vote out of the planning board, because I'm working with their ordinance committee right now, to petition the council for the new ADU ordinance that would buttress what we have now for attached ADUs, that this will now accommodate the detached ADUs. I'm working on, with the planning board and a consultant on inclusionary zoning ordinance, on making more effective and the ordinance with respect to housing specifically that's designated for seniors, elderly, and handicapped. It's a very bland ordinance we have. It's not very specific, and I'm kind of rewriting that would make it more palatable for developers to come in and use that as a development option. So the funding that I'm requesting from the council does not take away anything from the ordinance. It would be a new tool. It's another option for developers to hopefully embrace. And I think it would only it would only help our community with providing more variety of the types of housing on the size of lots. And again, whatever we come up with is going to absolutely come back, as you know, before the city council for a public hearing. So again, folks, and I don't mean it in this way. I'm not doing a test balloon just to kind of see how it works and it floats away and throw 10,000 away. I don't act like that. I don't conduct myself like that. I'm very, very frugal with the city's funds, as you know. I just need a little help. I just need a little technical help, and I respectfully ask for $10,000. And again, this is going to be specifically for housing. There are a number of other fronts I'm working on, landscape ordinances, parking requirements, and a big element of having the landscape ordinance and rethinking how we do parking in Attleboro is to bring it up to speed with current standards, a reduction in the requirement because we overpark, and then intertwining the landscaping with the parking requirements so we have more eco-friendly parking lots that have as much landscaping in it, less impervious area, and more trees for a variety of reasons. And that's why I'd like to come down and speak with you, not only on the technical merits of the zoning ordinance and how it works, but the environmental implications and the benefits for that. So we're looking very green on a lot of fronts. And again, whether it's later this spring, early summer, or whenever you like, I'd love to come down and just kind of show you the whole picture and how this little piece fits in the overall grand scheme of things.
Thank you, Gary, for coming. I have a question actually for you. If we were to not have this zoning consultant, what would that mean?
I just have to do a lot more research on my own. It might take a little longer, but it won't stop me. It won't stop the department. It's just going to take a little longer. And it's a little more lift on our end. I do quite a bit of research. We have tools to do the research, but sometimes it's helpful if you get the perspective from a consultant that's looking. If I'm looking at something from 30,000 feet, sometimes it's really helpful to have somebody looking at it from 50,000 feet and may have had more involvement with other communities and how they've done things. Whereas while I try to do that, I just don't have the time really to look at 20 different communities. I might look at 3 or 4, not necessarily just the usual suspects around here, the Mansfields, the Nortons. I mean, I'll go out of my way. I mean, when we did the TOD, for example, back in the day, what was that, 10 years or so ago? I was looking at California for a lot of those, and I came up with parking ratios, I think, of 0.8. Again, the point being a community that is less reliant on the vehicle and making it more walkability. And I think I was proposing somewhere like 0.75 or 0.8, and the council was like, yeah, no, we get it, Gary, but let's not forget, we're not going to change Attleboro overnight. People still drive, people still want their vehicle, and we compromised, I forget what the ratio is, 1.25 or 1.112 or something like that. So I do extend my reach in terms of looking at what other cities and what other communities do, but not to the extent that I could with a consultant. So, yeah, if you were not to appropriate it, I'd accept it, and we would do whatever we could to still write the ordinances the way we think it is, but I just think it would be helpful if I did get the perspective of a consultant.
Vice President Dillon?
Thank you, Gary, for coming down, and I very much appreciate the work that you do and the work that your department does. And I know so many times that I've driven by here or stopped in to get paperwork, and you're walking out here at 7 o'clock at night. So I fully support this. And, you know, I get the time factor. You all spend a lot of time doing this, and to have a consultant, and again, to give you another option, another view, another perspective. So I'll fully support this.
Thank you, Councilor Dillon. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilor, go ahead.
I certainly appreciate all the work that you do as well.
Thank you, Councilor Fowler.
I'm just curious, what kind of person are you looking for? What kind of consultant are you talking about?
Planning consultant, not an engineering, not an environmentalist. There are purist planning consultants.
Uh-huh. Interesting to learn.
Yes, Councilor LeBoy.
Thank you. Gary, thank you for coming down. I feel
sir.
a lot better now
Okay.
with this. And I think more so the problem was just when it was given to us, there was not a lot of information on it. So we weren't sure what we were getting into. Obviously, we have a lot of studies going on within the city. But I feel more confident knowing the taxpayers of Attleboro will have a study going on to maybe help with some of these developments, make them more neighbor-friendly. Maybe not everyone will be for them, obviously, but I think if we can help ease the pain, I think taxpayers would be a bit happier with that. So, but I thank you for coming down.
My pleasure.
A lot
Thank
more
you.
clarity on this, and I think.
Yeah, I understood for one reason or another, the backup didn't come down, so when I found out, I immediately circulated. I think I went through Virginia to get it out to the council, so I don't know, it happens, I guess, so I apologize for that.
No,
but-
no worries. Thank you.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Gary, thanks for coming down. I think it's also important to note with this, you've lost 2 critical pieces in your office, correct? Over the last several months. So from my perspective, understanding and listening to what you had to say, I think this gives you back a little bit of capacity as well. So I know that you're not one to...
I didn't want to say that.
I know you didn't.
Because the buck stops with me no matter how you say it, and I wasn't going to, woe is Gary with the staffing, but you know that, we all know it, but I wasn't going to use that as the rationale to justify it.
Maybe
so.
not the rationale to justify it, but certainly a piece of the puzzle, and I think it's an integral one.
Thank you.
So I appreciate the work that you do. Many years we've worked pretty closely together, so like Councilor Dolan and Councilor LaVoy said, I think there's more clarity around this now than when it was first brought to us.
Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming
My
in.
pleasure. And again, I'm going to take you up on it. Just let me know. I'd love to come down, okay? All right, folks, thank you very much.
Gary.
See you, Gary.
So from the docket of April 1st, 2025, I entertain a motion to transfer $10,000 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for Transfer to account Planning Zoning Consultant for the review of our current zoning ordinances.
Second.
Thank you. We've just heard from Gary, and I don't have any other comments. And so I'd be willing to just vote on it unless you have any further comments. All in favor?
Just a point of order, I'm sorry, just a reminder where we are with Zoom, 2 councils on Zoom. All our votes have to be, we have to have attendance taken. I don't know if the vice president got into this or not. Have to have attendance taken of the committee, just so we can have that for the record, as well as every vote's a roll call.
Okay.
President Delcio. But if we're all present, like just us, we can just do.
Correct. So for this, where, so.
Committees that Council Holmes and Council Tavares are on?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I thought that Councilor Tavares was on this committee. I apologize.
No, thank you for letting me know, but yes, right, Phil and Lavoy are here presently, so if we are, I'm sorry, we'll go back to all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And that's all the business I have for the Zoning and Land Use and Sustainability Committee tonight, and I move to adjourn at 7:22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, we are adjourned.
Councilor Tavares, you're next.
You're good. I call ordinances, elections, and legislative matters to order at 7:22. We will take attendance of this committee. Councilor Holmes.
Present.
Councilor Kobus.
Present.
And myself, I am present. From the docket of May 6, 2025, I entertain a motion to transfer $70,000 from account 112410000-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1121100-530890 City Solicitor.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. So the administration is asking for an additional $70,000 to be transferred to the city solicitor account. I've been in contact with the auditor just about some high-level details to understand sort of the bigger picture around this. I wanted to make sure that it was something that we were at least considering in terms of the context here. So I went back and looked at the budget that we approved for FY25, and it appears that we allocated $200,000 to that city solicitor account. And just looking at a report that the auditor had put together recently regarding city solicitor costs over the last several years, I think we had information going back about 13 years. And looking over that summary report, taking out anomalies, so 2 years, the highest year and the lowest year in that 13-year period, it looks like we're right on par for about $200,000 on average is what we spend for, and these are just general legal expenses. So there are, and I believe Deb talked about this in a recent presentation to council, or this may have been as recent as last week, that the city also hires different departments, like the treasurer's department, the assessor's department. They hire specialized folks to deal with specialized issues like title issues when it comes to foreclosure and things like that. So it doesn't necessarily include that. So these are just general legal expenses on the city side. So this doesn't include the enterprise funds. It doesn't include CDBG, it doesn't include the school department. So about $200,000 for these general legal expenses is what we've been spending on average. So at this point, I just wanted to confirm, and I got that confirmation from the auditor, that we've spent about $151,000 to date. But that $200,000 has already been allocated towards a purchase order with, of course, now I'm having a moment forgetting the firm that our solicitor Peter Mellon was with, but anyway, with their firm, we've got a purchase order of $200,000 with them, so allocated to their firm. The mayor's asking for an additional $70,000 on top of that $200,000 to get through fiscal year 2025. And so with the addition of several other legal things that have sort of been one-time issues for us in the past fiscal year, our expenses are just higher this year. It happens, looking at the summary, this is not uncommon that, we've spent, this much over $200,000 a year. And I know we're separately, reviewing related issues as it has to do with budgeting for legal services in general as a city. But that's a long-winded way to say that that's sort of the bigger picture when it comes to looking at the expenses related to the city solicitor budget item. So this was helpful for me, so I figured I would share that with the rest of the council. At this point, are there any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Hearing none.
I have my hand up, sorry.
Councilor Lewis? Yes.
So this was great information, and I just wanted to let you know that I could take notes and give the minutes to Virginia for you, because I'm here.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was all.
Thank you so much. Okay, so hearing no additional questions, comments, or concerns, we'll take a roll call vote. Councilor Holmes?
Yes.
Councilor Kobus?
Yes. Yes.
Councilor Kobus?
Yes.
And I myself am a yes. Motion passes. And give me a second and we will move on to the next motion. From the docket of March 18, 2025, I entertain a motion to amend the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro as follows. Strike section 5-7.5 in its entirety and replace with the following. 5-7.5A, the procurement of supplies and services by the city shall be accomplished to the extent it is applicable in accordance with the Uniform Procurement Act contained in Chapter 30B of the General Laws, and to the extent it is not applicable in accordance with other applicable statutes and ordinances. 5-7.5B, all contracts made for supplies and services which are in the amount of $1,000 or more shall be in writing and signed by the mayor except as otherwise provided herein and the city auditor. 5-7.5C, the city auditor is authorized to waive the signature requirement described in paragraph B in limited circumstances as determined in their professional judgment. If said requirement is so waived, the requesting department must submit a copy of the contract, purchase order, or other type of receipt, along with their request for payment to the accounting department within 10 calendar days following receipt. 5-7.5D, when corrective controls warrant, the city auditor may require certain contracts made for supplies and services which are less than $1,000 be in writing and signed by mayor, except as otherwise provided herein, and the city auditor. 5-7.5E, contracts made by the school committee which are in an amount of less than $10,000 need not be signed by the mayor or the city auditor. 5-7.5F, the signature of the city auditor at the amount defined in this section shall indicate that sufficient funds are available in an appropriate account to pay the contract amount. 5-7.5G, this ordinance shall take effect on July 1st, 2025.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Kobus. Motion is in order. Okay, so we heard from the city auditor on this piece of business at the public hearing. She gave a very informative synopsis of what the current situation is in terms of how purchase orders are dealt with and what this ordinance will accomplish. So just to summarize what she had told us in the public hearing, which I think is important in understanding the rationale for the change here, is the total number of purchase orders that we saw citywide in fiscal year 2024 was 4,749. And out of all of those purchase orders, There were about 1,476 on the city side that were $1,000 or more. On the school side, it was 1,548. Now, those that were under 500 were about 817 purchase orders on the city side. So what this ordinance is looking to accomplish is really just create some more flexibility and efficiency for those expenses between $500 to $1,000. So right now, the city auditor is required to sign on all those purchase orders for anything above $500. So increasing that threshold to $1,000 will create some efficiency. I know there were questions from residents and potentially even the council about what that might do in terms of the transparency and making sure that we're still keeping a keen eye on the expenses from the auditor side of things. One thing that I want to note that Deb did reiterate is that the auditor will still review all invoices, right? And so really what they're trying to get at in terms of efficiency is some of those supply costs, reimbursement costs that are between that $500 to $1,000 range that could make this process a little bit more efficient if those are not required to be under purchase orders. So one of the things that she had mentioned is that POs are for, or I should say expenses below $1,000 tend to be for, as I mentioned earlier, supplies and reimbursements, et cetera, those sorts of things. And most professional services, right, which are the big ticket items, those are usually going to be over $1,000 anyway, which are going to require a contract. And if a contract is needed, right, for a good or service that we're engaging as a city, regardless of the dollar amount, then a purchase order is required anyway by the auditor. So she's going to sign the contract certifying the availability of funds, and the only way to sign that contract to certify the availability of funds is to have a purchase order. So it's sort of a built-in. I think it's a built-in way to make sure that that even the things that we're allowing more efficiency for between that $500 to $1,000 range, right, are not necessarily falling through the cracks. So some of those bigger ticket items, or even just more important things like the goods and services that we're contracting for, regardless of the dollar amount, it's something that's going to be in front of the auditor and is going to require a purchase order anyway. So. It's something, having looked at this a little bit further, that I'm comfortable with. The ordinance is written, so the proposed ordinance is written such that the auditor has the discretion to waive the signature requirement, or this new section 5-7.5D. The auditor also has the discretion to be able to require that there be a purchase order for expenses that are less than $1,000, right? If the city auditor, thinks that is that's something that's prudent. So it looks like we still have a lot of flexibility there, right, for the auditor to make sure that we're controlling costs, but at the same time providing for efficiency across the board. So I hope that's helpful. It was helpful for me to hear the auditor's explanation of that during the public hearing. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I have some.
Councilor Ramos?
Thank you. I am concerned about this. It is going to include less oversight in the department. We recently added staff members to the department, so I really don't see a need for this. I think that this isn't a time, we're not in an economic time where I feel comfortable with this. So I appreciate the auditor coming. I just don't think that the timing is right for us to have less oversight. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments?
I'll say something.
Yeah. Councilor Cobus? Yeah.
I am in favor of this. I'm less concerned because the auditor will continue to have oversight, and where the majority of those POs that were between $500 and $1,000 were mainly for supplies So I'm not as concerned about this, but one of the things that I would ask Counselor Holmes is that we allow this to be voted out of committee tonight, and so that we can get it before the full council.
Yes.
Well, I'm in favor of this business. I don't think that increasing this number from 500 to 1,000 decreases the transparency or creates any sort of issues that are concerning to me. Obviously, they're not concerning to the city auditor. Again, they still have purview over all the invoices, so it's not like we're giving departments sort of a blank check to be able to just spend whatever they want. I don't think that's what this is at all. It just allows them to not have to go through the purchase order process for, sort of for mundane expenses and costs that would otherwise be approved on a routine basis, is my understanding. So, okay, any additional comments, thoughts, concerns? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Councilor Holmes?
Yes.
Councilor Kovas?
Yes.
And I also am a yes. Motion passes. Move to adjourn at 7:37.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. This will take a roll call vote again. Councilor Holmes?
Yes.
Councilor Kovas?
Yes.
And I am a yes. We are adjourned at 7:37.
Now, Traffic and Transportation Committee has no business this evening. However, I would like to state some things are in the pipeline. We're not getting into anything. But at the mayor's level in Traffic and Transportation, there's...
Point of order.
Thank you.
Councilor Waterman, you should call the committee to order, and then
Okay.
you can discuss.
All right. So I'd like to call the Traffic and Transportation Committee to order at 7:37. With us this evening, Councilor Sawyer and Councilor Dolan. We have no business to undertake as far as motions this evening. However, there are discussions beginning and will happen officially in May in the Traffic and Transportation Committee around 2 sites in the city for traffic. And I'd rather not get into the issues yet because they haven't been fully discussed at the Mayor's Committee, but the corner of Holden and North Main is an issue that they will be discussing, and we shall see how that goes. And also the corner of Augsburg and, help me out, I'm forgetting the name. The main,
Park, no, Smith Street. Slater Street.
Augsburg and Slater, where there was a serious accident about a week ago. And I'm not going to ask for any discussion this evening because we have a lot more work to do still on this subject in the Mayor's Committee, which met last Thursday. They are meeting the 3rd Thursday in May, and I would invite our committee members to come, if you would like, to the meetings. And you needn't feel like you have to, but if you would like to, you're more than welcome. Any questions? Yes.
Just if, in the event that your committee members show up at the meeting, you're going to have to call for a meeting yourself so we don't violate open meeting laws.
So, be a council meeting.
It would be a committee meeting for your committee.
Okay, I will do
If you,
that.
so, and you need 48 hours in order to do that, so just keep that in the back of your mind.
Thank you very much. All right. I would like to call for an adjournment.
Second.
Thank you. All those, no, you want a roll call?
No, you don't need a,
No,
we're
no
all
need for a
here,
roll
right?
call?
No, because it's, we'll go through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, Council Holmes, excuse me. Oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Okay.
I did that earlier.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I was looking at Council Holmes.
We are adjourned at 7:40. Thank you.
Public safety?
Hello, Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, I call to order at 7:41. Myself, Counselor LaVoy, and Counselor Angelo. I have 3 motions this evening.
Point of order, Counsel. Point of,
First I'm going to see who's present, Counselor LaVoy.
very good, thank you.
Counselor Angelo.
Present.
From the docket of May 6, 2025, I entertain a motion to appropriate $220,809.12 from account undesignated fund balance, free cash, general government to account fire salaries and wages.
Second.
Thank you. This is for an individual that's served for the city for more than 32 years. He's retiring, so quite an accomplishment for the fire department. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a roll call vote. Counselor Tavares?
Council
Oh,
LaVoy.
I'm sorry, Counselor Angelo? Sorry.
Yes.
Counselor LaVoy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion passes. From the docket of May 6, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve expending of such funds and any future grant amendments regarding the receipt of a second round of funding as part of the Fire Safety Equipment Grant for 2025 from the Department of Fire Services in the amount of $12,220. In accordance with the grant, the fund will be used to procure the following firefighting equipment: structural firefighting gloves and Nomax hoods for structural wildland firefighting. The grant does not require any matching funds.
Second.
Thank you. This is great. It's just a grant and there's no matching funds. Any comments or questions?
Nope.
Hearing none. Counselor LaVoy?
Yes.
Counselor Angela?
Yes.
Myself, yes. All who, motion passes 3-0. From the docket of May 6, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve expending of any such funds and any future grant amendments regarding the receipt of fiscal year 25 Student Awareness of Fire Education SAFE Grant and the fiscal year 2025 Senior SAFE Grant from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the amount of $9,800. $7,200 will be for the student safe and $2,600 for senior safe. The grant does not require any matching funds.
Second.
Thank you. Again, a grant that we're receiving, and there's 2 different ways that it's being split to accommodate students learning about fire safety and then as well as seniors. So it seems like a very positive thing for the city. Any comments or questions?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Counselor LaVoy?
Yes.
Counselor Angelo?
Yes.
I also am a yes, so the motion passes 3-0. I will call for an adjournment.
Second.
Okay. I'll call for a roll call vote. Counselor LaVoy?
Yes.
Counselor Angelo?
Yes.
And myself, we are adjourned at 7:45. Thank you.
I'd like to call Public Works to order at 7:45. I won't be taking any motions out this evening. I just wanted to give an update. I guess I'll give an update on 2 items. First is the handicap parking space at the Union Street, Dunham Street for the Jewel. That's still in the works. Hasn't been resolved yet, but we're working on it, getting closer. The second is a special permit application for Sturdy for the temporary helicopter landing. So I didn't realize how much this would be, but I kind of went down a rabbit hole and been doing a lot of research, and I'm not sure if I'm going to bring anybody back from Sturdy to my committee to answer questions, but if anybody has any specific questions, if they could send them through Virginia so I could relay those. I just have to do more research. I've been doing a lot of research on like the flight path and the downdraft from the helicopters and so on and so forth, and the location that they chose for it to be. And yes, I do realize this saves lives, and I'm not looking to, block this in any way, shape, or form. I just feel like I need a lot more information, and I don't know how everybody else here feels. I won't be taking any questions because I won't be able to answer any of them. If anybody has any questions that are specific to this, if they could send them through Virginia, that way I can make sure I have all my ducks in a row for when we finally vote on it. Does anybody, Councilor Foa?
I don't have a question, but I would just say that I too have been doing some research on this area, and there is a lot of information out there on noise and noise reduction. So I applaud you for holding off on this for a bit and seeking perhaps more information from Sturdy.
Yeah,
I think that might be really important.
That's a goal. I feel like, the map that they, not the map, the plans and everything that they, wasn't to scale, so I was struggling to figure out exactly how far everything was from everything else and everything. So I just want to do a little bit more research on this. Councilor Angela, did you have a question or comment?
Well, you just said no questions, so I did have a
Well, I
question.
mean, just
but you said
because
no
I won't
questions,
have
so-
any answers, that's why I'm trying to do more research. That's the only reason I said that. But did you have a comment or something?
I'm going to hold for the committee meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and that's all I'm sorry? Councilor Boyd, I
Yeah,
didn't
thank
see
you,
ya.
sorry about that. For this, I don't know if it's feasible, but similar to how we do for capital improvements, if we could even maybe visit the property with Sturdy to see the scale in person, to take a look at the site in person, to get a better understanding. And then if we could also figure out if this is, if timing is important on this and holding up construction on a multi-million-dollar project. I don't want to hold them back on anything if there are deadlines they're hoping to meet or timelines they have in mind. So I guess if we could kind of correlate those two things, that would be perfect.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I have no intention on holding off on this for any trivial reasons whatsoever. And if I can get all the information I need, I will call for a committee meeting before the full council next week if I can get all my questions answered.
Thank you.
I will make a comment to Councilor Lavoie's comment. Seeing that I know this area extremely well and working there for so many years, and I know all the businesses there, and I can rattle them all off for you. I don't know if a site visit would actually really get you the flight path unless you would actually kind of take that flight path or drive it, but being cautious of the one-ways and stuff. Because basically, what you really, I thought it was laid out enough where it shows where the flight path is and it's going to cross over several streets and everything. So maybe an aerial photograph or an aerial or something or other might be there, but you're talking, there's businesses there. You have Leach Garner, you have Marathon Company, you have Sturdy and all those other businesses. It's literally a parking lot with a bunch of trees to the left, 2 tenement houses, which those 2 tenement houses that were there, nobody came here to that meeting as well, too. But then it heads off towards Emery Street and all the other side roads that are there, too, as well. So you might need more of an aerial view.
Right, and I might want to clarify. My concern isn't necessarily the flight path. It's just that it's landing on the ground, and my concern is those 2 houses. And they did send out a butters notice, and I realized that those folks didn't come for the public hearing. I want to get some questions answered. And again, I have no intention on holding this off, and I have no intention on blocking anything that saves lives. I just want to make sure I do my research and do good by the people that live in that area. So with that being said, again, I will have a committee meeting before the next council meeting if I can get all my questions answered. I'd like to call for an adjournment at 7:50.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We're adjourned. Thank you.
I'd like to call the City Property and Claims Committee to order at 7:50. I only have one motion to bring out this evening. From the docket of May 6, 2025, I entertain a motion to select the Attleboro Historic Preservation Society as the party to whom the Academy Building, 28 Sanford Street be sold, subject to a purchase and sale agreement acceptable to the mayor and city solicitor.
Second.
Thank you. This has been going on for some time. It's gone back and forth and in and around, and it's gone back out to bid and back. And anyway, I think this is a good thing for the city. The Preservation Society has wanted it. The Historic Committee has gone after it, and I'm pleased to say that I think they'll do a good job, and there are some benefits to the city of them taking it over, and if they cannot in time make the upgrade that they have suggested that they will make, because we certainly don't want this to happen again in another 5 years, that nothing's been done and it's just sitting there. So there are some qualifications and things that they have to go through. If those aren't made, that gives us the first right as the city to repurchase it back. Okay, any concerns? Of course, I know you're going to ask a question because you just always do. Now, go ahead. Do you have one? Come on.
Thank you,
Go.
Councilor Reynolds. No question, just a comment that I'm very happy this is happening, and I toured this building maybe 6 months ago with Councilor Tavares, and they had already done a bunch of work, and there was a lot of work that needed to be done. So I don't want the general public to think that this was a ready-to-go building. It's gutted, and there's a lot of structural work that has to be done to it.
I mean, they did do a lot of work. I'll agree with that at one time, which was almost 20 years ago. So, we're talking, it has to be done. We have the next 5 years or so that, but we want to see something happen. We don't want to continue to just let it stay as it is. Thank you, Lori.
Hi, yes, I wanted to say, I think they also needed to be, in order to get grants, to do more improvements to it, they need to own the building. So I think that, and I think they'll do really good work with it to help to make this a historical building in the city.
Yeah, I think that was at one time some confusion. They said the Preservation Society just had to jump on board with it, and then they came to find out that they needed to own it. So, it started the whole process all over again. But anyway, we're here.
Yeah.
And Councilor, President.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. Yeah, this is a long time in the making. I think you, myself, former Denley, Councilor Denley toured this with the late, great Evelyn Silva.
Yeah.
And I know this is a work of passion that they've all been putting in for decades now. And I think, to your point earlier, a lot of communities have a building designated to the history of their community. So I think this would fall right along in those lines. They've done a lot of work to that. They've got so much material and so much of our past that it's almost going to be a museum in a way, right? So we've talked to several of our friends over the years. Of course, it's just great to be in this situation. So thank you for your expediency on this.
I don't know if it was expedient, but they certainly have
Came down last week and you got it out.
They have a lot of passion. I applaud that, and I look forward to seeing them make it happen. That's what I hope.
It's a crowning achievement for them.
Thank you.
Councilor Reynolds, I also applaud this and the timeliness of making this an issue that we should pass. I hope the council will pass it. And I've had my personal tour, and I've been very impressed. But they could only go so far, and now we're giving them a chance to complete the project. It'll be wonderful.
I just wanted to mention that Councilor Sawyer and I have also toured the building, and I'm very pleased with this result.
Great. And we'll keep our eyes and ears on it. That's what we'll do. Okay. Any other concerns, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. That is the only one that the City Property and Claims Committee has this evening. I would like to call for an adjournment at 7:55.
Second?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, no.
No, that's all right. You can
I'll second it.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned at 7:55.
I'd like to call to order the License Committee at 7:55, and with Counselor Holmes on this committee. I will take attendance. I myself am present. Counselor Waterman.
Present.
Counselor Holmes.
Present.
Thank you. Everyone is present. Moving on from the docket of May 6, 2025, entertain a motion to approve the renewal of a Ring the Bell application from Adam Pelagi of Pelagi Brothers Ice Cream LLC to be at Hayward Field, 73 North Ave.
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Waterman. Motion's in order. Pretty straightforward. As President DeLucia said, it's a good sign. Summer's coming. So with that, if there's any questions, comments, concerns, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote, beginning with Counselor Waterman.
Yes.
Counselor Holmes.
Yes.
I myself am a yes. That motion passes 3-0. From the docket of May 6, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve a renewal of the Ring the Bell application from Robert Pelagi of Pelagi Brothers Ice Cream LLC to be at Hayward Field, 73 North Ave.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Same thing, just different providers for the licenses to be there so they can have multiple trucks there. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, seeing none, we will do a roll call vote. Counselor Waterman.
Yes.
Counselor Holmes.
Yes.
I myself am a yes. That motion passes 3-0. From the docket of March 18th, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve the new Class 2 auto application from St. John Automotive, Inc., doing business as Better Auto at 473 Washington Street for 10 customer spaces and 21 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. They were represented by Jack Jacoby, but the individuals were at the public hearing. Everything is going to be the same exact layout as we previously had at the property. They're not changing any space amount. They're just new owners, and they're trying to keep something that was doing really well there going under new ownership. So I happily support this. If there's any questions, comments, concerns, Councilor Waterman.
Just that I was very impressed. They struck me as very diligent, and that they want to run a first-class business.
I concur. Everything looked good on their behalf in terms of with the Attorney General's office and things of that nature. Typically, what we try to look into when we have new applicants. And yeah, I mean, everything looks really good, and I'm hoping that their partnership works. It seems like a good setup, and yeah, should be a good thing. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, we again will do a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Waterman.
Yes.
Councilor Holmes.
Yes.
And I myself am a yes. That motion passes 3-0. That concludes the business for the License Committee. I would call for an adjournment.
Second.
Thank you. And again, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilor Waterman.
Yes.
Councilor Holmes.
Yes.
And I too am a yes. We are adjourned at 7:59. Thank you.
The IT and Infrastructure Committee has no business this evening. I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time. That's also true for the Special Committee on Rules and Procedures. We have no business this evening. I call for that committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. And I'd like to call the Finance Committee to order at 7:59. On the committee is myself, Councilor Reynolds, and Councilor Tavares. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilor Reynolds?
Here.
Councilor Tavares?
Here.
All right, we have 3 items tonight. From the docket of May 6, 2025, I entertain a motion to transfer $5,000 from account 1124100-578-300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 16101000521-020 Library Lights and Power.
Second.
Motion is in order. This is just caused by a slight increase in electricity costs, and around this time of year, we see these come in all the time. So, any further questions?
I wish they'd stop raising it.
I agree.
That's my comment.
All right, hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilor Reynolds?
Aye.
Councilor Tavares?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Motion passes 3-0. And from the docket of May 6, 2025, I entertain a motion to transfer $1,000 from account 161-01000-530119 Library Security Services to account 161-01000-511000 Library Salaries.
Second.
Motion is in order. This is a, this just covers the 50-cent increase that we voted on back in January for the laborers. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Counselor Reynolds? Counselor Tavares?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That motion passes 3-0. All right, and on the last page, we'll vote the CDBG. All right, before we get to that, I just want to mention, so on the last page of the Finance Committee, for the capital improvements program, we'll hold that one for tonight. Everything is, we still have the public hearing for that, but let's, in 2 weeks from now, if everybody can bring in sort of their suggestions, we've done all the tours and all of that, and I thank everyone that showed up for those capital improvement tours. For the next committee meeting, let's work on, if everybody can bring in their list of priorities from the capital improvements program, I can then go back and start drafting a capital improvements message and pull those things together. So in 2 weeks, just have that list of items for the capital improvement program. Any questions on that?
I just want to mention that there was a concern raised to, I think, all of council, that there were some facilities that we did not actually tour.
Correct.
That does not mean that we are not considering their capital improvement needs. And we didn't intend to, and we did not, in fact, tour every facility which needs capital improvements. And I think we just ought to be clear about that.
That is very true. And we could only do so much in the 2 days, and I tried to limit it to between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. for both Saturday and Sunday, and we were running around, and we tried to hit as many of the bigger ticket items, but that, you're right, there were definitely departments that we were not able to get to.
And they
But,
expressed
yeah.
concern about that.
Yes, yep. But that doesn't mean that these are not priorities for us.
Right.
All right, so moving on, from the docket of March 4th, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve the submission of the CDBG Program Year 2025 Annual Action Plan for the period July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026 to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. In addition, once the final allocation for Program Year 2025 is released by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Municipal Council approves the administration increasing or decreasing funds proportionally in each proposed category.
Second.
Motion is in order. We heard regarding the CDBG budget last week. We do this every year. I think the plan makes sense. So, any questions?
I have none.
Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilor Reynolds?
Aye.
Councilor Tavares?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Motion passes 3-0. And that concludes the business for the Finance Committee. I move to adjourn at 8:05. Councilor Reynolds?
Second.
Motion's in order. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilor Reynolds?
Aye.
Councilor Tavares?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. We are adjourned at 8:05.
We have no
Special Committee on Tax Abatement is canceled.
Special Committee on Classification Compensation is canceled.
Just a reminder, we do not meet next week. It's the 5th Tuesday, so there is no meeting next week. Our next meeting will be May 6th, where we have 4 public hearings that evening. And just as an FYI, councils, I'll be out of the state May 1st through the 4th. Vice President, it's a Thursday through Sunday. Vice President Dolan will be acting president. That being said, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Excuse me, good night.